Hello and welcome to This Week in James City County. I'm your host, Renee Dahlman. Today we are doing our third episode on our special mini-series, The State of Housing in James City County. Today I am once again joined by Lauren Tolly. Lauren is the Housing Supervisor for James City County, and Carrie Daniels. Carrie is the Housing Specialist for the county. Welcome.
Thanks, Renee.
Hi, Renee.
We're going to become professionals by the end of this, I think. So I'm impressed. Thank you for both being brave and coming back. So I do want to do a little disclaimer before we get started. There is work happening at both of our offices. And so if you periodically hear hammers or maybe a drill, who knows, just hopefully it won't be too much and we'll be able to get this information across. So that's like, Lauren, it's the sound of work, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Perfect. So I know that last time we met, we talked about rapid housing and prevention. But there are a lot of other services that your office talks about. So let's talk about them. You want to get us started, Lauren?
Absolutely. So like you said, Renee, there are a lot of services that the county offers for our housing department. And now that we've kind of taken our family or individual who is experiencing homelessness and we've sheltered them in our emergency shelter and rapid rehousing, there are additional housing options available since they probably still need housing support. Our largest housing program that provides this support is the Housing Choice Voucher Program.
So how do folks in the county who are struggling with affording housing, how do they do it here in James City County?
So you can't really get the cost of housing down because we have no effect or control on the cost of materials, land, or labor. So aside from putting money into a project to reduce the cost of housing, what we need to do is focus on helping people that we serve afford the existing housing. And one way we do that is providing a subsidy through our voucher programs. We partner with our families to help them better afford adequate housing.
Okay, so how many families are you able to serve?
So the James City County Housing Choice Voucher Program is over 200 vouchers. These vouchers serve our diverse populations by addressing their housing needs, including homeless veterans, people with disabilities, and families with children in the WJCC school system who are experiencing homelessness. And that's just to name a few.
Okay, so how do these vouchers help families in James City County?
The voucher program allows working class citizens and those who work in our communities to stay in our community. So they live and work here. The housing voucher bridges the gap between affordable housing and lower income families. We know that there's a disparity. No one disputes this. And vouchers functionally address that disparity in our communities. This allows the dental hygienist that you love or that teacher who has taught all of your kids in the neighborhood to live in the county that she teaches in.
So I want to make sure that I am understanding this correctly. This is not a free housing program or a housing benefit program. This is something that the families themselves contribute towards. Am I getting that correct?
That is correct. This is not an entitlement program.
Okay.
Those who receive these vouchers have household income, and they're expected to contribute a portion of their income towards their rent. Out of the 209 families that we are currently serving through our voucher program, only 4 are in between jobs with no income. So that's less than 2%.
So Carrie, tell us more about what voucher participants pay.
So voucher participants are not permitted to pay any more than 40% of their income towards their rent, because according to HUD, an affordable housing payment is approximately 30% of your gross monthly income. Okay. So, for example, a teacher who's a single mom with 2 children has an average starting salary of somewhere at around $40,000. So, based on that figure, the HUD says the most she can afford for a housing payment is approximately $1,000 a month.
Okay. So tell me about the voucher itself. So if a family is able to get the voucher, they're working, does it just automatically guarantee that they're going to have housing?
No, actually, receiving a voucher does not automatically guarantee housing. The recipient must still qualify for the housing unit whether it's an apartment or a single family home or what have you. This means they typically are expected to make 2 to 3 times the rent. So if you have no income, you're not going to be able to use your voucher. HUD reports that the fair market rent for a 2-bedroom house in this area is around $1,329 a month, and this kind of includes a utility allowance. So going back to that teacher who can only afford a $1,000 a month payment towards her housing, she couldn't reasonably afford to live in this area.
So I understand that there's a gap between the folks that are able to provide resources and housing and the affordability of housing, particularly here in James City County. It sounds like the voucher program is then a piece of the puzzle to help these families.
That's correct. The voucher program does definitely bridge that gap between those who are working in our community and those that need housing, and then the affordability of housing. The voucher program allows our working citizens like our teachers who provide vital services in our community to live and work here. It bridges that gap, like we said. And as we know, and Felice said, there's a disparity. Nobody disputes this. And so the vouchers really help to address that disparity. And I'm hoping that as we go through this, that this is dispelling some of the myths that people may have heard about voucher programs.
Absolutely. So tell me, who pays for this program?
So that is probably a myth that a lot of people have heard, is that those who receive vouchers just receive free housing. And so that is not true. This program is federally funded by HUD. HUD distributes the funding based on a needs assessment, such as a census. We know that we have a large need, but our funding is limited when you compare the size of our community to much larger populated cities. HUD sees our AMI at 100% as being about $85,000 for a household of 3. So it appears the need is lesser when really it's not. The program exists to correct an infrastructure problem, which is increasing affordable housing options. Infrastructure change is a massive undertaking. It's extremely expensive and it's not always realistic. The proven solution that we know is to partner with these voucher programs to provide a much more comprehensive response for those who are working and living in our communities.
I have to say, I was very surprised when I heard the 85,000 for a household of 3. And I think that a lot of our viewers are going to be surprised by that number. So I know that vouchers are but a part of our housing puzzle. So is there something else that is used to help folks stay housed?
So another vital component is our landlord and property managers. We truly have some of the best landlords and property managers in James City County, which was recently highlighted at our landlord tenant rental fair. We just have amazing property owners who want to help address the needs of the community. And actually, one of them shared with us at the rental fair just this past week that the reason that he specifically rents to families in our community that have a voucher is because it just warms his heart to drive by that property and see those children in the yard playing, and having that safety and stability in their housing.
That's awesome. That really, really is. So what happens when a great day occurs and somebody gets a raise? And so all of a sudden there's more income coming into their house, which is absolutely a good thing. But their income guidelines their income no longer meets the guidelines to be able to stay in the housing choice voucher program. What happens then?
So I will have to say our Board of Supervisors has done an amazing job and has really set themselves aside, and the county has really set itself to this really high standard of addressing that need. During the pandemic, municipalities received ARPA funding, which is the American Rescue Plan Act. It's federal funding, and those funds were a one-time distribution. So the funds are finite at this time. It was up to each municipality how they use these funds to support the community. The housing office submitted a proposal that a portion of these funds be used for a local housing voucher program. The Board of Supervisors supported setting aside money in our budget to support stabilizing families who live and work in James City County. but they earn a little bit too much to receive a traditional housing voucher and not quite enough to afford traditional housing. So they're kind of in that gap that we have a hard time bridging.
Okay, and I do now hear some hammering. So there's a lot of hard work going on out there, which is great, but we're just going to keep going through it. So tell me a little bit more then about the local community choice voucher. Did I say that right? Local housing voucher program.
Local housing subsidy program.
Thank you. All those words. Thank you.
It's a short-term rental subsidy program designed to assist working families achieve their financial goals. The primary goal of the program is to provide housing subsidies and counseling services to the households in James City County who earn more than the federal HUD limit of 50% of the area median income. Households in this category are often referred to as ALICE, asset limited income constrained employed. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. You did great though.
And while their income is above that 50% of the area median income, they don't earn enough to afford necessities such as housing in James City County. And it might surprise you to know that approximately 33% of the households in the county are ALICE households.
Right. So tell me, how long does this program last?
So it's a 3-year pilot program. It's designed to provide up to 24 months of direct subsidy per eligible household. Additionally, the household will be provided housing counseling services by HUD certified housing counselors assigned to the housing unit here. And these services promote family self-sufficiency and improve housing stabilization. They'll include things like budget and credit counseling, resource connections for training, educational, and employment advancement opportunities, career development, goal setting, and assistance with identifying other local resources to help reduce household expenses.
You know, I have to go back to, I think it was the first episode that we did. And Lauren, you said that there's hope. And just every one of these episodes and every time you all are talking about just all of the assistance that is out there, it like that landlord, it warms my heart. And it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just to
Sorry.
interject, one of the things that's really important to us here in the housing office, like you had said, there are a lot of resources. Even if somebody comes to our office and we may not be able to address that specific need, our goal is to never let them leave without having a resource or being able to provide some type of wraparound supportive service or connection to another community agency. And I will tell you, James City County has some of the most responsive and quickly responding services within the county that I've ever seen. Truly, our community partners want to help, and that really makes a difference.
That's great. Is there any additional information you'd like to share?
Every family that we have that receives a voucher would tell you that it's a privilege and a blessing to them. And I hope that our listeners and our viewers have been able to understand that. They're so grateful to receive a housing support, and they're diligently working with us to make sure they keep their housing. Housing isn't just for a specific type of person. Everybody needs housing, and everybody deserves a safe, affordable, and decent place to live. And that's why we have a variety of programs. Our focus is to provide housing solutions to every family dynamic and situation.
All right. Again, I'm just so proud that to work for this county, and it's awesome. So any final thoughts before we start to wrap up? I know what we could do. Let's do this. I'm sorry. I sprung that on you. Let's do this. Tell us what we can look forward to in episode 4.
Okay. So episode 4, you're going to meet Benjamin Dow. Benjamin is our housing resource navigator, and he's a vital piece in connecting a lot of the services that we've talked about with our rapid rehousing, local voucher, and housing choice voucher programs. You're also going to find out about our home ownership programs and our first-time home buyer programs. For those who work in the county, like our teachers and like those who are just regular county employees, general services who are working really hard, we have programs for our employees in the county as well. And so Ben is going to share all of his information that he has about those programs. And so hopefully you all will be able to understand and see how somebody can go from experiencing homelessness, rapid rehousing, a voucher, to becoming a home buyer. It truly is the American dream, and it happens right here in James City County every day.
Every day.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That could be, I'm seeing that on bumper stickers, on billboard. I love it. I love it. Well, again, thank you both so much. Again, you guys are becoming professionals at this. And I know that it's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we do with the rest of the series. So thank you both so much for joining me again.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you, Renee.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up this episode of This Week in James City County. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please take a minute to subscribe. That way you will never miss an episode, including the great episode 4 coming up. Also, go to our website. We're at jamescitycountyva.gov. I almost forgot, /podcast. And while there, you're going to find all of our shows, as well as a form that you can complete, give us show ideas. We would love to hear from you. So once again, thank you so much, and we will talk with you next time.